Welcome to the Unapologetic Podcast with Kaitlyn Talamante, hosted by LadyBoss. This is a space where women rise, own their power, and stop playing small. We get real, we get raw, and we get fired up about confidence, health, business, and life. If you're ready to step into who God made you to be and unapologetically live your best life, then girl, you are in the right place. Let's do this.
This is what unapologetic looks like.
This is my era. I'm walking boldly in my purpose. I'm done dimming my light.
I'm done playing small. God didn't create me to blend in. I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. The old me was surviving. The new me is free.
We rise together.
Here's to living life unapologetically. Hello, ladies, and welcome back to Unapologetic, where we get real about what it means to live, lead, and show up fully in purpose. Today's guest, let me just say, this one hits close to home. Not just because of the topic, but because we actually grew up in the same small hometown together. From Pagosa Springs, Colorado. Shout out to all those listening from Pagosa. Today, we're not talking about small town living, though. We're going deep into something that so many women face, and we don't even realize it's happening. Our gut health, our nervous system regulation, burnout. Some of those words, you might not even know what I say when I mean those words, but our bodies are impacted by them on so many levels, it is unreal. If your body has ever felt like it's waving a white flag, like you're just pushing through and barely surviving, this conversation is for you. So grab your water, grab your coffee, grab your protein shake. Let's get comfy and meet the woman who walked away from high-stress commodity trading into the world of helping women heal for real. Miss Chelsea Kaler. Hey, Chelsea, how are you doing?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
I'm super excited to have you here as well. It's really been wild to see your journey in Pagosa and being in a small town. Like, it looks different for all of us and where we've gone. And you were able to take on this high stress commodities job in small town, beautiful Pagosa, which isn't super, there's not a lot. I wouldn't say there's a lot of high stress jobs in that kind of living, but you were there. And
no, and it's kind of one of those roles I want to. So I came to Pagosa about 13 years ago, like fresh out of college with my degree in finance, like really wanting to be a trader and just, I don't know, very much in that like go-getter, like we're going to climb that corporate ladder. We're going to do the things. But then you come to small town Pagosa and you do the whole bouncing around, different jobs. And I was like, okay, I don't know, like what is here for me? I'm not entirely sure. I don't think I'm going to find this like big time career here, which I kind of knew going into it, but I surprisingly stumbled upon the company that I work for, which is kind of like, wait, this is what I want to do. Like you do commodity trading and consulting. And for people that don't know what that is, you're essentially a stockbroker, but you're a commodity broker. You trade oil, gas, metals, indexes, cattle, like all the things. So it was just one of those, like, I don't know, for me at that time, I was 22. So it was like a divine timing of like, wow, like this just like the stars aligned. Like get to have this big time, like city career. Like I don't have to move to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, or even down, in Texas and Houston. Like I don't need to go back to a major city to do this. And it was great until my health, started shining those red flags. And I think that with my journey, you get into these high stress careers, but when you're in your 20s, like you truly think you're invincible. So you think that I can work these long hours and then, we're trying to be healthy. So I got like being in the mountains, I got super crazy into like trail running. I was hitting the gym every single day. So it's kind of like at the end of the day, like as women, we end up wearing all the hats. And when you have stress plus stress plus stress and just so on, you just have all these factors, whether they're healthy or not, they're truly just so stressful on your body. And I got to a point where I just was working ungodly amounts of hours and still trying to do, like, I have to be in the gym. Like, I need to be running. Like, I need to be doing these things. Like, what diet should I be on now? And doing all the things, just trying to like optimize and like high performance everything in my life until I just started experiencing those small sounds of burnout. Initially, a lot of women don't recognize like, oh, I'm not sleeping well. I'm turning into like an insomniac. Those are like the first signs. Then you start having like digestive issues, some bloating here, some constipation there. And gosh, I'm a little bit more tired than I am. And I'm not recovering from my workouts, but I don't know. I feel like, especially when you're in your 20s, you just kind of dismiss it. You're like, oh, this is life. It's fine. Like, this is normal, right? Like, everyone experiences this.
Yeah.
And with that, to kind of keep my story short, because it took me a good handful of years before I decided to pivot. And I definitely had to kind of like crash and burn and hit rock bottom. I had played college volleyball. So I always had just like this athlete mindset. So of course, everything in my life was like, I'm here to achieve. Like, I'm definitely here for the external validation. I really want that good girl nod and great job and good work. And as my health started to decline, being an athlete, you have injuries, like we all just get like random injuries and stuff. Like these old injuries really started to just like come to the surface. I'm like, this is weird. Like, I haven't dealt with some of this like neck pain, back pain, like knee pain. Like, it's been a while. Like, what's happening? I'm not even 30 yet. And so, and I think it's just like, you just keep like burning through all your reserves until your body, like, it's trying to, like you said, it's waving white flags left and right. And you're just like, no, push through. Like, I got to handle it. Like, this is life. We're running full speed at everything we do. I don't know. Like, back then, I thought that slowing down was truly like, well, I got to stop. Like, I need to just sit and like do nothing and just zen out. And I've now learned that like you can slow down while still be in motion. At the worst of it, I got to a point like I couldn't walk. I had extreme chronic pain. I don't share this often. I know a lot of people like back home wouldn't know that because they would see me on my lunch breaks like walking, but it's just like at home I had a walker. Like, I could not walk. I just didn't want people to know that I was in such pain. I got to the point where my gut health, like, I couldn't tolerate any foods at all. I thought that like going, you try all the diets, you're like, let's do an elimination diet. Let's figure out what this is. And then I decided it'd be a really good idea to be vegan for a year, which I know that works for some people. And it worked, for anti-inflammatory effects, but I actually watched my body atrophy before my eyes. So I was one of those people that lost like drastic amounts of weight and couldn't keep it on. And that's still one of my struggles, where I think there's like the flip side of things where there's people that struggle to lose weight. And then there's those of us like where we've just burned our body like to the ground, like it's up in flames, to where now you're on the opposite end where you're like, okay, now I can't even like maintain muscle mass and I can't like keep the weight on. And so that was one of those things where at that point in time, with every company, you have turnover and you have shifts with management and stuff like that. And we had a lot of people leave. And so I ended up working like 60 to 80 hours a week on top of just everything else I was doing. But being in like such pain, I started having vertigo and just chronic migraines and just all these crazy, bizarre things that I never experienced. And, you're trying to see different practitioners and doctors and everyone, you feel good for like a short term point in time. And then but nothing's getting better. I had a bunch of blood work done. I was told like, nope, you're super healthy. Like, you look super healthy. Everything's fine. And I didn't know what I know now. I just was like, okay, but something's off. Like, I can't walk. I can barely move. Like, I can't digest any food. I live every day with like a constant like migraine. And then I don't consider myself an anxious person, but then I started like developing anxiety and having like anxiety attacks at work. And that was the point where I was just like, something's seriously off. Like, I'm not this person. I don't know what is going on. I tried to, kind of like biohack things myself and got really into like health and wellness, would try, I don't know, you're on social media, you're like, oh, that looks like a good idea. Like, I'm going to try that. Like, this worked for so-and-so. Like, we're going to try that on top of body work and all the things. But at the end of the day, I ended up it wasn't just me like pivoting for my career. It was definitely for me at the time. I called it like an identity crisis because I just was like, well, who am I without this career that I worked so hard for? But I know a lot of people will be like, well, can you see yourself doing this for 10 years, 5 years? Like I got to a point like several years ago where I was just like, I can't even see myself doing this for one more year. Like, how am I supposed to heal? Like if I don't change something, like I can't sit at a desk this long every day. Like I can barely walk. I can barely function. Like how am I going to find this true healing if like the things I'm doing in my life don't change? So I kind of had like one of those like inner walks, midnight, like the darkness of the soul moments of just like, well, I was like, I don't see myself being in this career my whole life. So if I'm going to pivot, and at the time I was like between 30 and 32, like this wasn't like just an overnight decision. This was like years of me like trying to figure out, is this going to be the step I take? And so a few years ago, it was just one of those things where kind of walked in the office, wasn't exactly planning on like resigning, but I just kind of reached a breaking point where I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Something's got to give. Like, I'm never going to get healthy. Like, I want to be able to walk. I can't do any of the things I enjoy. I'm not getting better, like with all these things that I'm doing. And so that's why being the true high performer, which I just think about, like the company LadyBoss and stuff like that. Like, I just was like, we're going to take things into my own hands. I resigned in like a not conventional way. I still work for the company, but I work 4 hours a week. Like I have a very, very small role, but it was just like, I'm going to enroll. I'm going to become a functional health practitioner myself. Like I need the ability to order my own labs. I need the ability to interpret them, and I need to be within proximity of really great doctors, not just in the conventional space, but like the holistic and functional space. So I selfishly got into this to heal myself, which I think is very common with a lot of people that turn to functional health. It's just like you're experiencing your own issues and you're trying to figure it out because you're not really getting the education or pointed in the direction of things. And then now, knowing what I know now, I'm able to kind of look back and even look back at old blood work and sit there and say, oh my gosh, none of this was normal. Like none of this was normal. It wasn't still within like a normal range from a conventional standpoint, but it wasn't from their perspective. They couldn't diagnose me with anything. Mm-hmm. But looking at certain things, where a lot of people's blood markers are super high, mine were tragically low. And it's just like, no wonder I felt like a walking zombie. Like I couldn't even get through my day. And so that's kind of like a longish story, but I feel like it's just very important. Like, I think a lot of people think like, oh, she just made the decision. It's like, no, it was probably like a buildup of 5 years that finally got me to the point where it's just like, something's got to give, and it has to be this career, and it has to be this idea of like who I am and what I'm going to do. Like, I kind of have to unwind like this whole identity process. And even just like I said earlier, I was so attached to that external validation, and the perception, and just like wanting to do good at my job, and people to think like, oh, Chelsea has this like really big, high like career. She makes really good money. Like I will tell you, like when you walk away from like almost a multi-6-figure career, like there's a lot that goes into it where you're just like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? Like, am I crazy to do this? Like to have that security. But yeah, at the end of the day, like it wasn't about the money. I ultimately just wanted my time, my energy, and my health back. And I've been in this industry now for 3 years officially. And I like to say that I kind of accidentally started my business because, like I said, I got into it 100%. Like it was for me. Like I needed to figure out, my own health challenges, and especially the weird chronic mystery things that were popping up. But with that, it's turned into this beautiful thing of just like, I've experienced so much. Like I need to share this because I think all women just need to kind of know like there are other avenues, and there's so many different things that go into it.
I love that. And there's so many layers to your story. Thank you so much for sharing. I know I didn't know some of your story, but I didn't realize your pain ever got that bad. Like that's, and I love how this all has led from you being selfish and needing to prioritize you, because I do have a belief like that's where a lot of it starts. You mentioned going to all the doctors and them saying everything was fine. Like I think as women, we're constantly told we're fine, but we know something's not. Something is off. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, because that's such a huge passion of mine. It's like, I'm always like, make sure you run your yearly blood work. The doctor that runs the yearly blood work, but they just run the basic panel. They don't run all the things that we really need to know as women.
Right.
Our doctors might be incredible, but their segment on the that they learn in school for education for the women's hormonal system and the gut biome and all that is like an hour in a chapter that happened in class for an hour of their training their entire 10 whatever years they're in medical school.
Right.
It's very minimal, and it's today in this age, the last, like you said, you've been working on it 3-5 years now, like the last 3-5 years, there's more and more education coming out on it. And it's because women are tired of being told that we're fine when we're not. There's something else going on.
Right. And yeah, and I think it's just, especially with just like how our medical care system is set up anyways, it's, I think that there are really good doctors out there, but their hands are tied, like, and also like they don't have the time to just sit down and work with you. And I think that's why in the last 5 years, kind of like post COVID, like there's just been this huge shift in like the health and wellness world. And so I think a lot of people are looking for more natural strategies. Like how can you actually bridge the gap between conventional and holistic care? Just because I live a very natural, holistic lifestyle, like the work that I do integrates both. I have to, like, most people are on medications. Like I work very closely with a lot of doctors who are open to it, so we can actually collaborate. Because at the end of the day, I'm trying to teach my clients, like, you have to advocate for yourself, but you also should be building like your own, like, wellness team. Like you should have people from different areas, like having a functional practitioner, you have your doctor. I have an energy worker, a chiropractor, like a massage therapist, an acupuncturist. Like I just want to like hit all the different avenues because you never know. Like I think they're all very beneficial, but everybody's body responds differently, right? So your body might receive something better, but it's also good to just have like a more well-rounded, like get all the pieces of the puzzle. And like you said, getting that annual blood work, I think is so important. And even if you're not getting full panels, I think it's always really good. Like one big thing that I offer is just like a functional analysis. It's like make sure you're getting a different lens looking at your blood work. Because that's one thing, like knowing now, looking back on my blood work from like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I'm like, oh my gosh, all the signs were there. Like my body was telling the story, but I had nobody there to literally connect the dots and connect the patterns.
Yep. And it's wild once you do. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into my doctor and be like, all right, here's what I've looked at. Here's what I think's wrong. And they're like, well, I mean, it's unlikely, but I mean, it does sound right. Let's confirm. You were right. I'm like, because I took the time and I built my medical team and I looked at the reports and took my charge of my own health where I was able to be like, no, something deeper is going on.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's really good to like just ask questions. Like I don't know. Like I said, now that I have proximity, and even just like a lot of friends and family that are so knowledgeable, so many of us have done so much research, so much education. It's great that we have podcasts, and books and like all these online sources where like you can sit there and you can hear something. You're like, okay, I'm going to go dig into that. Like that makes sense. That tracks, I need to go dig into this and see like, and, connect myself with people that know more about this.
Yeah. And it only helps that much. And then you tend to find a community that have with women who have experienced similar or the same things you have. And you're like, I've been told I've been crazy. It's like, I did too, but I finally figured it out. Like, and it's that suffer in silence. It's like you said, when you were in your corporate, like you wanted that affirmation from the outside world that Chelsea was killing it and was doing all these things, but yet you were struggling on the inside. And it felt like weakness to say that you were, right? But like now you're like, it's the opposite. Like it made you stronger that you were able to say it, that you're able to say it now. And how many women have you been able to help because they felt alone too?
Well, and that's the thing. It's just like, I think as women, we are kind of taught like we need to suffer in isolation and not say anything and like not complain. And I think also like for our generation, like we definitely grew up in like the no pain, no gain like mentality. So it's just like, I'm not going to complain. I don't want to seem like I'm a whiner. Like I don't want to seem like I'm weak. And so then we just end up suffering in isolation. And that's just like, as you've seen like my journey on social media, like I'm an open freaking book. Like I talk about anything and everything because I just learned also like that we should all, not that we need to be suffering together, but like we share and so many like things that we're going through. And the more that we can be open and talk about it, like you said, there's so many women that have walked the exact same thing that I've experienced. It's so weird how sometimes like now that I'm so open about things, like there are clients that have come to me that like have dealt with this weird, mysterious chronic pain and stuff. And like we've been able to, just dig deep and kind of figure some things out. I didn't share, but I had one practitioner mention to me like, oh, you kind of check all the boxes like for fibromyalgia or MS. And that's when I was kind of like, I don't want to identify with that at all. Like it's something else. And it's not that. But like 6 years ago, I was kind of like, is it that? Like, I don't want to like go down. Like, I don't want to be like on that frequency of just like fear and all these things. Like, we need to dig into it and stuff. And I think that sometimes we're given these labels when it comes to our health, when at the end of the day, it's just like, I don't know, I'm really big on foundations. If you go back to the foundations, you really fill in like whatever those cracks may be. Like you can be the healthiest person, but we're still going to have cracks in what we're doing. And I think that like through my own journey, like recognizing like, oh, I do all these like healthy things, right? But those healthy things were not serving me in any capacity.
I love that foundational piece because while you said like you have to have your whole medical team, like conventional medicine, there's a place for it. But the foundation tends to get missed, I feel like, in our medical world. And by able to see and fill the cracks, you go to the doctor, they want to diagnose you with MS, they want to put you on these prescriptions. But when you're able to get to the foundation, the root cause, not saying that it might not have been right, but you could even addressing some symptoms if it had been MS, that foundational base is so huge. I know for me personally, like anxiety. I have never been a super anxious person, but burnout, high levels of stress, things like that, it happens. And it's so easy for a doctor to say, hey, here's something for your anxiety. But when I've looked at my lab work and when I'm like, well, let's just see if it's, if my tweaking my vitamin D and my B levels make a little bit of a difference. And it's crazy because it's a vitamin. Not saying that, you don't need your anxiety meds. Like maybe you do, like, but there's it's like, but it's so easy for them to give a prescription versus, hey, let's test the natural nutrients in your body and see what's going on that foundational level.
Yeah, definitely like peeling back all the layers. And like you said, I think that when it comes to like prescription meds, like those meds help a lot of people, like those people that really, really need it. But at the same time, like you have to be addressing like your lifestyle and especially like we talked about like your stress and like your nervous system load. Like our nervous system is just ramped up, revved up all the time. Most of us are living in fight or flight. We don't know how to most people say slow down. Like I said, I still kind of like, I'm trying to unwind my thought process that slowing down like doesn't mean stop. All things. It doesn't mean just like lay on your couch and tap out, like and just totally like disassociate. Like, it's like having these intentional pauses in our day. I think that a lot of the foundations are free. We need to be prioritizing our sleep. We need to be getting sunlight. We need to be nourishing our body. We need to be moving our body. Like it's so simple, but I think that because it's so simple, we like to just, turn things and make it more complex when it's just like really like, can you anchor your morning? Can you anchor your afternoon? Can you anchor your evening? Can you I call it just like pattern interruption. Like, especially if I'm having a very stressful day, like I will, even if I only have 60 seconds, it's like, I'm stopping. I'm going to go outside. I'm just going to look at the sun. I'm going to breathe a little bit. I'm going to shake it out. Like, I'm just going to create a pause so my body can kind of like down regulate a little bit. So that's kind of what I mean when it's like you're slowing down in motion, because we're never going to get away from stress. And women, we wear all the freaking hats. So like, we're just going from one thing, we're pivoting, we're multitasking, we're doing all the things. And so it's just like in your busy life, how can you create these moments of calm? Like, how can we signal safety to our nervous system so that we can come down? Because I think that's like the biggest component. Like, I heavily focus on gut health, but like you said, with conventional medicine, like they'll run the labs and tell you the things, but like there's also a lot of people in the functional and holistic worlds, like, well, they'll run labs and it's kind of the same thing. They run labs, they give you a hefty protocol, but like no one's actually teaching you, like, how do you actually create safety from your day to day? And that's something that I've recognized like in the last 3 years, when I first started this, being on like these protocols and doing all these things. And I just felt like I was trading one piece of rigidity for another piece. Mm-hmm. And so like, this isn't working. Like, yes, I'm starting to feel better, but I felt like my body was still like bracing against what I was doing because I wasn't actually trying to teach it safety. You can focus on gut health, but if your gut doesn't feel safe enough to digest food, it really doesn't matter like what supplements you throw at it, like what you're doing. Like it's all about rhythms in your day. And like you said, those foundational key component pieces, like they're so simple. And yet for some reason, it's really hard for us to like get into our day. And so I think a big component is like, we think that we have like a to-do list, and it becomes like, I have to check this off. I have to check this off. I mean, I just shared this yesterday on Instagram on my stories where, when I was running every day and hitting the gym every day, like it was forceful. It was like, I have to do these things. Like it's on my checklist. Like I need to be like doing cardio. I need to be lifting heavy weights, where you completely removed like the joy, the pleasure, the playfulness of things, which is what like our nervous system and our body craves, is like, and that's what creates safety. It's not like having these forceful things that you're like, oh my gosh, this is what I have to do today. Like I really don't want to, but I'm going to do it anyways. It's like, no, we should be creating these rhythms from a place of just like play and pleasure. And like, it actually brings you joy.
Stuff you like to do. I love how you touch on the safety aspect of it too. I don't feel like a lot of women realize that safety is such a huge component. Like, I think we probably have listeners that are like, what do you mean safety? Like, I'm safe. I'm safe in my home right now.
Right.
But our body is actually searching for safety without us noticing, like, what, 3,000 times a minute or whatever, where our body is doing safety checks that we don't even realize is happening.
Right. Yeah. And I don't claim to be like a nervous system like expert, but I also know like you said, how people at home are like, well, I feel safe. Like, yeah, I feel safe. Like I consider myself a very laid back and chill person. But at the end of the day, it's just like, we're entrepreneurs. We're trying to do things like whether you have a career, you're an entrepreneur, or you're a mom, or you're doing all of the above and you're involved in so many things, like your body just gets so stuck in this heightened state because you're just so go, 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 go. And then eventually, yes, you're going to crash and burn, or that burnout's going to slowly seep in. So I think that's just why, like, you hear the word safety and you're kind of like, what does that actually mean? But like you said, your body is constantly looking for like a moment to essentially like breathe.
Yeah, 100%. All right. So I want to dive into gut health. And I would love for you to correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding of the gut health, and when it comes to women specifically, is our gut impacts not only our gut, but our nervous system, our entire body, but our hormonal structure that we go in and out of as well. So if your hormonal system, your gut's all out of whack, like the whole thing is just a mess, we're wreaking havoc. Can you tear apart all of that I just said, and like, why is the gut just so important to prioritize?
It's pretty much foundational to everything. Like from my perspective, my beliefs, and even my experience, like a lot of my chronic pain stemmed from weird things like that were found in my gut that, when you hear it, you're like, okay, whatever. What does that mean? Is this a real thing? But the gut is foundational. It has influence on like the gut brain barrier, on our mental health. We have a gut skin barrier. So, it affects our skin, and then with our hormones and everything. I think it depends on the perspective that you're looking at. Some people, like, obviously everything is connected and has like a relationship. So everything's a two-way highway. So yes, like obviously, I think when women think of hormones, they're thinking of our sex hormones like progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone, DHA, androgen, stuff like that. But from top tier, like, we have like cholesterol's at the top that feeds all our hormones. But yes, like cortisol, when that ramps up, and theoretically it should come down. It's supposed to get us through a stressor, not be chronically like high until eventually we just burn out. But yeah, that will, like, cortisol is meant to suppress everything. Like when we're chronically stressed out, our body isn't gonna, it's like, oh, you just ate, like we're too stressed. Like we're not going to prioritize like digestion right now. Like we're not going to prioritize, like for a lot of women, like we're not prioritizing your hormones right now, like your period and all the things. That's why, like, from that perspective, like, everything cascades down. But even from the gut, if we have things more upstream, like low stomach acid, well, then we're going to have like malabsorption. We're not going to be getting all our nutrients. And then from there, the integrity of the gut microbiome, like our good and our bad bacteria, when under stress, usually our good bacteria, start to get depleted. And then it creates room for all that bad bacteria to overgrow. And then you have the potential to get like other nasty bacteria and yeast and fungus and parasites and all the things that we hear about online these days. But with that, again, it just cascades. Like we have a good change. It's called the estrobolome. It's in the gut, and it's specific gut strains, good bacteria that influence hormones. But again, like if we have all this dysbiosis, all these imbalances, I'm trying to keep this like as simplistic as possible to make sense. And when we have these imbalances in the gut, of course, it's going to affect our hormones. Everything is going to move upstream. I firmly believe that the gut is absolutely like foundational, along with I'm really big on mineral replenishment and balancing, like making sure that we are giving our body what we're burning through every day. That I also believe that if you have the best diet, are you really getting all those nutrients? Like that comes from the gut, and we need all these vitamins and minerals to feed our hormones. So everything is like a two-way street. And so one common thing that I see, even with my hormone clients, like I always start with the gut, like always. Because, like your hormones can be out of whack, but there's so many things on hormone panels that'll point to, hey, like with this pattern that we're seeing on these hormone labs, like it's actually pointing to like something's going on in the gut. Like it doesn't tell us exactly what, but it points you into the next direction. It's like, hey, something's going on in the gut. There could just be some simple like microbiome imbalances. I mean, even just like with bloating and stuff, it's usually like a motility issue. It's a stomach acid issue. It's definitely more upstream, but all of that is also connected. Like the nervous system influences the gut. It's just crazy how everything always comes full circle. I mean, even with hormone labs, you can sit there and look and see like, the liver and the gallbladder are a part of the system that helps remove excess estrogen in the body. And we don't want it to recirculate. So that also connects to like gut health. We need a healthy gut so that our hormones can also be like excreted out of the body appropriately, in very simplistic terms. So yeah, it's just kind of like from my perspective, I always start with the gut. Like I just think it's foundational. I think that it's going to influence everything upstream, because even if you're trying to fix things that are more upstream, like eventually you're going to have to come to the gut. And there's people that don't even realize that they have like gut imbalances just because they don't have like symptoms, which is great. Like glad you don't have symptoms, but it doesn't mean that there's not something in your gut that's telling you. And I like the labs that I run because they get to tell us like the integrity of the gut. They let us know if there's like, some, bad bacterial overgrowths and stuff like that. They let us know if there's like candida and stuff. Like for me personally, I didn't realize that having like candida and fungal overgrowths contribute to chronic pain. Like it creates so much like inflammation in the body. And that's like the big component, is that when you have these imbalances in the gut, it's going to create a lot like an inflammatory environment. And what's that going to do? It's going to seep into your bloodstream. It's going to move more upstream. We're not going to absorb the nutrients that we need. And so, like I said, it's all interconnected. It all cascades and seeps into like all these other symptoms, which is why like I love holistic and functional health and just like anything that's more natural, because we're really trying to address like the whole you. We're trying to look at all the systems. And so I always start with like the gut, and I always start with mineral replenishment. I like to run different mineral like analysis on people just to kind of see, like, I think that I eat like very healthy, but at the end of the day, it's just like with our food supply and all the things, just like, are we really getting all the nutrients that we need? And we live most of us live very stressful lifestyles, right? Like we're all stressed out. Like there's no getting away from it. And like your stress just burns through all those things. It's going to burn through your minerals. Like I said, it's already going to suppress everything in your gut. It's going to suppress your hormones. So it's trying to figure out like, how can we support the body? And I'm very big on simplicity. Like I don't want to make things more complex than they already are. So I'm very like a go slow type person. Like I'm not here to promise like you're going to be great in 30 days and 60 days. It's just like, no, I'm going to give you like the sequence and the process, but hopefully empower you enough to where you're just like, I get it. Like this makes sense. I'm going to make these changes to do those things.
So can you break it down for the woman who's listening, who's like, wait a minute, what do minerals have to do with my mood and my energy?
Everything. So So minerals are like the key components. So our cells, so this is like getting down to like cellular health, which I'm pretty like big and nerdy into all those things. So minerals are foundational to cells, just like amino acids are. And so if our cells are not able to get adequate amounts of minerals for whatever reason, and even with that, like I said, it's our nutrition, it's all those free lifestyle things I talked about. Like, is it adequate sleep? Is it nutrition? Are we getting movement? Are we getting sunlight? You can be doing all the good things, but you're constantly going to be depleting your minerals. And then you add in like, okay, now I have some gut like imbalances and dysbiosis going on. That's going to take away from certain minerals. But even with those, like, since minerals are very foundational, like we have our 4 macro minerals, we have calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium. Like sodium, potassium are super, like, yes, those are our electrolytes, but like that's what gives our adrenals energy. This is what gives us like stress resilience. So, I'm pretty big on like, I think a lot of people are taking electrolytes right now, but it's also like, what are the ratios of the electrolytes? Are you getting mostly sodium, which I think most of them are, but like you need to be getting a good ratio of potassium as well. A lot of women I work with, potassium can't get into the cells, based on other ratios. Like we need zinc, we need cobalt, we need sulfur, like we need like the potassium and the sodium to make like stomach acid. Like it's everything. Like all these minerals are what feed everything else. We need zinc. Zinc is connected to progesterone. Like copper is connected to estrogen. So all these trace minerals from a foundational level are kind of like what are the building blocks to our hormones, the building blocks to like the functionality of our gut, the functionality of our nervous system. For like a personal example, like calcium in the body, like we all associate it with bone health and it's in our teeth. But our nervous system is so smart that when you are under a lot of chronic stress, it will pull calcium from your bones and your teeth and start pushing it into your tissues to essentially kind of make like it's trying to protect you. So it's kind of creating an armor. So a lot of people that have a lot of muscular pain or their body, like for me, for example, like my body's always been described as rebar. So like not a good thing. But when I started doing labs, I was like, I have such like incredibly high like tissue calcium. Like this kind of makes sense. Like I've been stressed out for forever. Like no wonder. And so as you have like different ratios, like we run labs to figure out like, okay, what is your body needing right now? And then we kind of construct like a way. And I use it via like, I create a powder blend with this very specific lab. So then it's like more comprehensive, but at least you're giving your body, like everyone can go buy a multivitamin and stuff. But with this, you're kind of getting like the exact ratios of minerals that your body is saying that it needs. You're able to see like with minerals, like I said, with zinc and copper and a few other of these trace minerals, like there are patterns to show like, yes, this is probably an estrogen dominant person. Now you would want to confirm that with some other labs, but minerals can also tell you a story and they're really great. Again, like all these labs that people run, like they point you to the next area. And a lot of people, like all my clients, when we are burned out and stressed out, like we're not able to give our body those nutrients quick enough because we're just burning through them so quick. So for the women that I work with that are just incredibly burnt out, like the first thing I do is minerals. Like let's just give you the boost and like the nutrients that you need because like you may not get it from your food. We're always going to have nutritional gaps with what we're doing. So I just think that, yeah, minerals are foundational, like from a cellular standpoint. So I think that they're great for anyone and everyone. Like I have, like most of my clients are women, but it's like men, you can do like babies, toddlers, kids, like depending on like what your symptomology is, but you also don't have to have symptoms. Like I work with a lot of just like healthy people that want to be healthy. And so
yeah. I love it. And I love how it computes. Like, women are, I believe, are taking a stronger charge in their health more so than ever because more is coming out. They've prioritized their spouses, their kids, all the people around them for so long. They're like, I have to take care of me.
yes.
And so I love that they're doing this, but it's also helping them gain that education to help their kids. Wyatt, my oldest, he's 16. He deals with chronic migraines on a regular basis and we'll knock him down for a few days. And we've gone to the doctor. Doctor says it's fine. I'm like, I'm sure like that's, I'm like, it's hormonal based or something's got to be going on because he's 16 and all the things are happening. And the doctor point blank looked at me. He's a guy. They don't have hormones that can't cause him. And I'm like, that, okay. And fast forward to this last summer, we were at an event and he had a blood smear done, and the practitioner looked at his blood smear, and we've run out of blood work, but I'm sure as you've seen in blood smears, it tells another story, right? And the doctor looked and he's like, I think that might have been a bad sample. Let's take another one. And he took another one, put it under the smear. And this is with like a whole group of people watching because everyone's getting their smears done. And he's like, I definitely want to meet with you guys. Like, not that anything's like crazy, crazy wrong, but like, I can go, like, there is something that we've got to work on, this mineral foundation. And it's what his body's missing. This is where these migraines and all these things keep coming up from. And it is, it's part of that foundational layer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was my journey. I had chronic headaches, migraines. Like I said, when I got really stressed out, I started getting vertigo. I'd never had vertigo in my life. Like, every time you stand up, you're super dizzy, even though you're like, I'm drinking adequate amounts of water. I am adding some sort of minerals to the water. Like, I'm doing all the things. Like, I'm seeing the chiropractor to just double check, like, is this structural? Because it can be structural with headaches as well. But it's crazy, like, once you start replenishing the minerals and you realize the connection to just like, yeah, like the brain health, the migraines and stuff like that. A lot of the times I've learned that there's mineral deficiencies. So that's crazy. But I'm also glad that you guys were able to get some answers.
I am too. I was like, we're not crazy.
Yeah.
Let's get this figured out. It's amazing once you get that insight and you make that connection to be able to be like, okay, I feel like we're going to be heard. So ladies, like, as I'm saying that, like, we're going to give you all Chelsea's information. Like, Chelsea will be an incredible resource if you're ready to dive deeper on all things. I'm jumping the gun, but like, don't take charge of your health. Build that medical team, as Chelsea was saying, because I can't tell you the difference it's made in my life, my son's life, my husband's life. Like, having people in your corner that are willing to dive into the blood work, look at your minerals, all the things, that foundation's huge.
And just like ask the right questions or help you ask the right questions. I feel like that's a really big component of what I do, is because I do want everyone to still have their PCP, right? Like, there's a time and place for all of that. And I also work with like a lot of women, that are on thyroid meds and like they are doing hormone replacement therapy. And it's just nice to have like a second set of eyes or a third set or fourth set of someone saying like, okay, this is what I'm seeing, like trying to work with like their PCP or not, but also help them. Like if the PCP is not willing to work with me, like help them ask the right questions. Like, hey, make sure you ask these things. Like, let me know what they said. Like, and also like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know all the things, but it's also great because it's like I said, I'm in a lot of communities and groups where it's just like, okay, this is the answer we got. Like, I may not know it, but like, I'm going to go ask one of my mentors, what's going on with this and stuff. So it's just like having people that can help you ask the right questions and like not be afraid to ask questions and like challenge whoever you're working with. I mean, whether they're conventional or holistic, it's just like ask questions, like advocate for yourself.
This is exactly why I wanted to have you on. Like, not to, because like you mentioned, like, it's not about the protocols. It's not about the supplements. Like, it's about how you're living, how you're, the basics of how you're moving your body and asking the questions and taking ownership.
Yes.
You're a big believer in the rhythm over routine. You mentioned like you rather than the dread of it, like making it exciting. So what is that like now for you instead versus like back in your hustle grind days?
Well, back in my hustle days, I had no rhythms because I was up at 4 a.m. every single day on the road, driving an hour because I still live an hour outside of Pagosa. So there were no rhythms. It was just like wake up super early, like roll out of bed. And I was not the best at like what I was eating. So I truly lived off coffee. Like, I think I don't know, accidental intermittent fasting, where you just like get busy in the work and then you're just like, oh my gosh, it's 4 p.m. I haven't eaten. I've literally only had coffee today. And so what I would do, like those old rhythms was like, wake up, no routine. It's so early. I can't function. Get to work, drink coffee all day on my lunch break because I sit all day. What would I do? I had 1 hour. I literally would crank out a 6-mile run. And so I would do yeah, girl, I went crazy. I look back and I'm like, oh no, what was I doing? Like no recovery. Then I would go back, work the rest of my day. So it's like, let's go run 6 miles. Let's go sit down for the rest of the workday. And then from there, I volunteered a lot in town. Like I coach volleyball. Like I sit on a couple of boards and committees. So it's just like, go do all those things, wake up, do it again. Like no rhythm, no routine, like at all. And then still at the point, like I don't drink anymore. And so, but at that time it was just like, okay, now we're going to have like a couple cocktails because now I need to figure out how to unwind from all of this. Where now I'm not working that much. Like I said, I'm still in finance, but I have a very specific role. It's 4 hours a week. It's very lovely. I still get to flex that part of my brain. So it's great because I still love like the math and all the things. But now my days are like, I wake up. It's like, I give myself usually like a good hour. Like I'm screen free for that first hour. Like I'm not going to go grab my phone, and like I have very strict boundaries with myself around my like phone and computer. So it's really like those first 60 minutes, 60 to 90 minutes if I can push it, like with scheduling with clients and stuff. So that's for me. I wake up, the first thing I do is just like, we have my minerals. I'm going to step outside, even though it's freezing cold outside. I'm just going to step outside, kind of like move around, like even if it's for 5 minutes. If I have time to bundle up and go for like a 30-minute walk, I'm going to go walk. I just kind of make it more like I'm setting the tone for the day. Like I don't want to wake up and jump straight into like stress and calls and Zooms and meetings and all the things. It's really not that complicated for me, to be honest. It's just like I have my minerals. I like move my body in some sort of way. I make sure I don't get on my phone. I eat something, which is a challenge for me. I'm so used to like, I've never had breakfast. I've never been a breakfast person. And so now it's just like, okay, I'm going to have a little bit of something, even if it's just like a couple eggs and half an avocado. Like I'm just going to get something in my body. One, because that like supports your hormone health, gets your gut going and everything. And so those are like my morning anchors. It's like 3 things. It's really not that complicated, but it's just like finding consistency. Like, okay, these are my non-negotiables. I feel good when I do these things. And then like I'll work. And then in the afternoon, same thing. I take a break. Like I go for a walk again. I get outside, get some fresh air. And then I try to be done, like, since now, like, I get to, like, time is mine. I try to be done working by like 4. And then a really, really big thing for me, especially this past year, is community and connection. I've always worked so much. So I was always a person, like, I didn't have community. So I didn't understand the power of having community until this past year. Like, it was one of my really big goals of like, I want to have like good, meaningful, deep, like female relationships. So I try to make time to like, I'm going to meet up with a friend for coffee. We're going to meet up for a walk. Like we're going to go to lunch. I'm going to join like whatever, like little workout class, like that's for girls. Like I'm going to go do this thing. I'm going to have friends. I'm going to show up for people now because like I can. So I think that that's like a really big component for women, especially is really having like community that you can like lean on and stuff. Like we all talk about having our tribe, but I think a big thing for me that I realize is like, but you got to show up. Like you have to show up and be involved and be engaged. So those are like really big things for me. Obviously, like I've taken myself through a lot of protocols and stuff like that, but I'm finally in a place like where I have no restrictions around my diet at all. Like I can eat all the foods now, but it's taken me a long time to get here, like creating like these small rhythms, like tweaking them. Like I have a vibration play, I have red light therapy, like I have all these other modalities that I love, but I've recognized like these simple rhythms are what put my body in a state to actually receive those things. Because I did those things when I was really like, I guess at my worst, like not walking, feeling very sick and not really kind of like, is it working? Is it not working? Where now that I've kind of created this sense of calm in my body, or I just have little cues throughout my day to kind of like chill out, down regulate a little bit, where now it's just like all these other extra things that I do like or think are fun. Like I'm like, oh, these actually work now. So I think it's just like, yeah, creating simple things. Like I don't have these crazy like routines that I do. I just have like a few things like at different points of the day that just make me feel good.
Awesome. I love it. I love that you don't touch the electronics for the first hour of your day.
Yep.
I've recently started doing that myself, and it's been a game changer, especially as an entrepreneur, because like we live on our devices. And yeah, I mean, the stress, the first week, I can't tell you how many times I like go to reach for it. I don't even sleep with my device in my room anymore.
Stop it. Don't do it.
But I didn't even realize like how often we were just naturally like reaching for all the things and wasn't there. And I was like,
it becomes a natural reflex. Yeah, I try to anchor the first hour of my day and the last hour of my day, like no electronics at all. Not even like watching TV. Like, sure, my husband loves, like, he likes to unwind with TV. I really don't care. So it's just like, I just like go do my own thing. I'm trying to read or even just like listen to a book or even just kind of like, I don't know. I'm one of those weird people. Like, I can just sit in silence, like, it not really faze me. People think I'm crazy for it, but I'm just like, I mean, it's fine. But like, I do try to like make sure that the start of my day and the end of my day are just very like calming in a sense. And I'm not like getting myself overly worked up or stimulated. Like in the evenings, I definitely like, I dim the lights, I have like, a salt lamp or a red light or something, where I'm just trying to like cut out all the light and the noise and all the things.
it's very good for that nervous system, that calming down, reset for the next day. I love that.
Yep. And it's crazy, like what it does, like we said, for our gut health, for our hormones, like for all the things, to just have these cues for your body, just be like that deep sigh of just like, okay, like we're just chilling right now.
It feels so good. I mean, as an entrepreneur, my brain goes 24/7 and I'm like, I'm not allowed to shut it off. But it's bit me in the butt, right? Like you just burn out and you're like, I can't, that's not healthy. Like I'm educating people on how to take care of themselves, but yeah, I'm saying I can't take care of me. Like, no, that's not true at all. In fact, I need it. Right.
Well, yeah, it's like, I don't know. I think as women, like, because it's just ingrained in us to put everybody before ourselves. But it's really true. Like you hear all the time where it's just like, pour into your own cup first so like you can pour into others. And like, I don't know. I think for a lot of us, like when I initially heard that, I was like, cool, that sounds good in theory. And then you actually do it and you're like, oh, this is real. like I can really show up for other people and truly pour into other people and take care of other people, still have like the energy to do those things.
And so I think like, so a lot of women, they also hear it and they think it's selfish. And
right.
I get like, now it's like, my family, like, if I don't take care of me, I get snappy. Like, I don't just get burned out and tired. I am short fused. I am snappy. I don't have time or the patience. And like, they'll look at me and be like, Mom, you need a minute. Like, they know at this point that like, oh, you haven't taken care of you. You need to go do that because it's not fair to them. It's not fair to me. And it's not fair to them when I don't.
Yeah.
And
yeah, like that irritability is so weird. I mean, I get that way too. Like if I'm just kind of doing a little too much, then I just realize that I'm super irritable. It's like the most minor inconvenience. It shouldn't even be an inconvenience, but it becomes the most major inconvenience. And then you look back and you're like, oh, like I kind of I lost it there.
Yep. I'm always like, bless my husband. I'm crazy. I'm the crazy one.
Same girl.
All right, Chelsea. So I've got a few rapid questions for you. Are you ready? I'm going to put you on the spot. Coffee or chai?
Coffee. I'm a coffee girl.
Favorite Pagosa activity?
Hiking.
Your go-to nervous system reset in 2 minutes or less?
Oh, God. Mine is humming or shaking, like literally shaking my body, but humming is
shaking it out, huh?
Yeah, like shaking it out. Yeah, moving that energy out of your body. And then humming, I have learned, is like crazy good. Like it just really down regulates me.
Try that one. Okay. Something women are told about health that drives you nuts.
I mean, this is like very probably played out, but it's definitely like the like eat less, like move more, like because that's still just being preached nonstop.
Mm-hmm. Agreed on that one for sure. One thing every woman should start doing today for their gut health.
For their gut. One thing. I think one thing that would benefit most women and they don't realize for their gut health is after, it may not be ideal for every meal, but if you can just go for like a 5-minute walk after you eat, you are going to notice like some major shifts and just like bloating, motility, constipation, like any of those weird symptoms that you have. Like it's so like, I always try to lead with like just kind of dumb, simple things that have like massive impact. So yeah, if you can just like get like a mini walk in after your meal or your biggest meal, like you're going to notice like a big shift in like your digestion.
And last one, how is Chelsea living life unapologetically today?
Gosh, I feel like my whole life, because I feel like I was the most apologetic person most of my life. So how am I living unapologetic today? I think a big thing for me is because I always cared what people think of me. And now I'm just like, I'm just very authentically me. I don't care what other people think, to be honest. At the end of the day, like every day I can do something and, people like to make comments like, oh, that was a bit cringy. And I'm like, cool, that's your opinion. I really don't care. Or like, I can't believe she did that or something. Yeah, something along those lines. And I'm just like, nope, I'm just going to show up and be me. And I don't really care. Like my people that I attract will come to me.
I love it. And once you get to that point of living life that way, like, isn't it like so freeing? Like it's like it's addicting.
It is, especially like, I don't know, as someone like I've always wanted to be liked, like, and I think I just always struggled with that. So like, yeah, to now just kind of like, no, like I'm all I need and I have my husband and I have my closest friends and nothing else really matters.
I love that. I love that so much for you. It's a great way to live. All right. So Chelsea, what is your website, your Instagram handles, all the things so that people can go find you?
Yep. So my company is called A Mindful Revival. again, I started this company like before I was even a functional health practitioner. So it just kind of like worked out. So it's a mindfulrevival.com is my website with like all my information. On Instagram, I am Mindful Monet. So the word mindful and then MONET. Monet is my middle name. So that's always just like a fun fact to put in there. So most of my family calls me that. So that's why on Instagram, I'm Mindful Monet. And then I'm on TikTok. So I kind of post crazy on TikTok. That's where you can get more of like my unhinged version of me, like talking about all kinds of things and just like random thoughts. And so I am Mindful Monet Wellness on TikTok. And then I have Facebook, but I honestly don't really use my Facebook for business. So, so you can mostly find me on Instagram and TikTok. Like I said, Instagram is, the more educational component, but TikTok is if you're trying to get the unfiltered version of me, you can go find me there.
I don't think I follow you on TikTok, so that's what I'm doing. Yes, I'm going to see what's on there. Ladies listening, we're going to link all of that in the show notes, so go check it out. We'll make it easy for you to go find all her socials and her website. Chelsea, this is so good. Thank you so much for sharing all of this and with all the information and the wisdom and just being so real and open about your journey and grounded about it.
Yeah, thanks. It's taken a lot to get here. But yeah, I think the more that we're open about like what we're going through and stuff, like you can just help more people that way.
100% agree. Thank you. All right, ladies, you heard it here. Healing does not have to look like pushing harder. It can look like slowing down, taking a 5-minute walk after you eat, listening and tuning into your body and coming into that alignment. Go check out Chelsea's work. Reach out to her if you're wanting to run tests and look at all the things and get to the root of your foundation. And if this episode hits you in the gut, share it with a friend. And we'll see you next time on the Unapologetic Podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm showing up as the woman I was created to be. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be real. One woman's courage gives another permission. I'm done waiting for someday. My time is now. I'm walking in faith, not fear. God's plan for me is bigger than my fear. No more hiding who I am. This is the real me, and I'm not apologizing for her.
Thank you for tuning in to the Unapologetic Podcast. If today's episode fired you up, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new one. And hey, leave a quick review, or sharing this with a friend helps us reach more women who need this message. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and keep living unapologetically.